Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, episode 112. It's July 20th, 2021, and for those watching live, sorry for the slight delay. We had some audio issues. We thought if you're going to watch us, you probably want to listen to us too. So,
I don't know sign language nearly well enough to do this show without talking. So
yeah, it'd probably be pretty tough for those audio podcast listeners later.
Yeah.
Okay, so first up, let's thank our sponsors, Ortus Solutions. So without them, we wouldn't be able to make this podcast. So they make ColdBox, CommandBox, ForgeBox, TestBox, lots of boxes. But one way you can say thanks back to them is you can like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube. You could sign up for a free or paid account on CFCasts, which releases new content every week. And then we have a Ortus book released a few months back now, 102 ColdBox HMVC quick tips and tricks on Gumroad. So those are a few ways you can say thank you back to Ortus Solutions, and you can also come to Into the Box, which we're having in person this year. Then the other way they can support us is with Patreon. And Brad, I think we talked about it last week, but we're now over 100% for sponsoring this podcast from Patreon. So Ortus is actually no longer supporting the podcast. The patrons are doing it completely. And we're actually on our way to our next one, which is fully funding ForgeBox IO's development and hosting and Amazon S3 bills and everything else. So it's pretty neat to have that. So just because we hit 100% for one goal, people, doesn't mean we're done. So if you want to throw us some money, we're happy to take it. Okay. So let's get on with the news. So first up, this is something that I actually missed, probably from Adobe Dev Week, but I wanted to touch base and let you guys know that the Adobe Docker images have had some changes in the last month, and Charlie just updated his blog post yesterday with even more news. So had you heard about some of these changes, Brad?
No, I actually hadn't. I'm looking at them right now. So
yeah, so remember the whole bin tray stuff happened, and that was May 1st, and then nobody could get the images. But obviously, if they'd pulled them before, then they'll be able to, use the ones that are basically cached inside their own machines.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, they are working towards putting them up on Docker Hub. And as Charlie says, some might say it's the way it's supposed to be. And and so that is in progress. There's actually a repo there already. There's nothing in the repo yet on Docker Hub, but the repo's built, so they're getting that set up. But right now, what you can do is you can actually go to use the Amazon Elastic's container registry, and there's actually a link, and we'll put that in the show notes. But the blog post that Charlie shared actually lets you get that without having to log in.
I'm curious if the Amazon Elastic Container Registry, or ECR, is an intermediate stepping stone until they get it on Docker Hub, or if they plan on maintaining both of them simultaneously.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just thought it was really good news instead of the tar, all the manual process they had and everything. So, oops, wrong link. Sorry about that, everybody. I was going to show everybody, but I grabbed the wrong one here. Sorry about that. Charlie's got a lot of blog posts this week, so I clicked the wrong one here. But, man, there really are a lot of stuff. Charlie has been busy. So, let me fix that and reshare my screen again. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, they have public.ecr.aws/adobe/coldfusion-latest, so you can get that. So it does include the CF 2021 images as well as 2018 and the PMT, the performance management tools. These are the official Adobe images, just to be clear, but you can use those today by just changing out to that. So they are working on that, and we checked just today even, so Charlie's update was last week, but I checked today. The repo is there, but there's nothing much in there. It's just a shell. but at least they're making progress that way, and so hopefully we'll have that very soon. So
I believe this is the link to the correct post for Docker stuff that is put in the chat. Does that look right? Pulling Adobe Docker CF images now via Amazon ECR and soon via Docker Hub. Is that right?
yeah, I think so. Let me click. It might be the one you posted was. Yeah, that's the one on his website. There's also one on the Adobe portal. So Charlie usually reposts there just for those who care. So very cool. But yeah, so you can get all that information on either of those places. But Charlie, thanks for bringing it to my attention. I hadn't even noticed it. So that's what happens when you go on vacation for a week or two and you miss everything. So, but that's good news. I'm happy that Adobe's making the progress there.
Charlie's got some comments on his post that are longer than the original post.
Yeah. And usually that does spark quite a lot of conversation. And so the comments are pretty interesting to read.
It was funny because somebody thanked him for being concise. He said, "Me? Concise?" We love you, Charlie.
Yeah. Well, speaking about Charlie some more and Adobe, there's CF 2018 and 2021 pre-release information, and apparently this just changed, right, Brad?
Well, yes. This is like ever evolving news. Right as we're about to go live, I saw a tweet from Charlie who said, "Just hours after my post about the CF pre-release, Adobe pulled the rug out from under me, postponing the move to Azul and removing the installers." So the within minutes of Charlie posting a huge update, it looks like stuff is already in a little bit of flux. But he has updated the post already. He has a little update on there that says what's different. He's put some strike through on some of the bullet items to try to help make sense of it. So sort of a living document, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, so several things. Apparently the move to Azul looked like it was going to be sooner, but then that's been postponed until December. I don't know if that meant they had problems or we're still working on licensing stuff. No clue. But it looks like there's still support for macOS Big Sur.
Which was a plus. Yeah.
Yeah, renewed support for the 2021 Lambda and serverless feature. Apparently that had been removed shortly after 2021 was released. I'm not really sure why that had happened. Support for Tomcat 9.0.43, so an update there. And then enhancements in language accessibility, PNT installation, and other areas, blah, blah, blah. So I haven't actually, I've just seen the news about it. Adobe doesn't normally have a pre-release for their updaters. Usually they just kind of drop them and then the community gets to sift through what may be broken. So I'm glad to see that they're having a pre-release. I'm guessing that some of these changes are maybe a bit more significant, which is why they did that. So yeah. Anyway, if anything in that list sounds like something that they're going to want to be updating for, you probably want to check out that pre-release.
Yeah, and I wonder if the pre-release for the updates now was basically because of... Oh, okay. Sorry, I just read Charlie's comment. This pre-release was much for the new installers, which now have been pulled, and so, yeah, I wonder if it's because it was a major difference they're doing pre-releases of it so people can test them more with the Azul stuff. And
Adobe doesn't normally... Sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, Charlie was also mentioning in the pre-release forum, so I'm wondering if we just miss it because we don't spend that much time in the pre-release forums when, you know, it's basically already released. You know, before a big release comes out, we spend time in there, but afterwards we don't. So maybe that's just something we missed. And
if the pre-release forum for 2021 is still up, I haven't looked at it since it went public. Usually they delete those after a couple months and all the data is lost. Adobe doesn't normally update their installers, which is actually something that really annoys me. So when they release an updater, they expect you to download typically, you know, an installer that's 4 or 5 versions old, and then the onus is on you to then install all the updates to get that installation up to date. They don't build new installers for every update. So it is a bit of a big ordeal, I know, internally for them to rebuild those, which is maybe more of the impetus for the pre-release, even though it sounds like them pulling the installers sort of doesn't make a lot of sense anymore for that. But.
Yeah, but yeah, still definitely check out the updates. But as Charlie said, but yeah, so That's why he wrote the blog post to make sure people like us didn't miss it, and it would have been good if we had a chance before they pulled the pull all the installers. So bad timing, but at least it was good to get out there. And looks like there's some good changes there. So I know a lot of people have been complaining about not being able to run stuff on Big Sur and on the Mac OS. So yeah. But thanks Charlie again for updating that and good information. So appreciate it.
All right, so next up, we've got an Ortus webinar for July coming up tomorrow.
Yep, tomorrow, 11 a.m.
Yeah, building API integrations with Hyper. So that is 11 a.m. Central Time, so about 23 hours from now, basically. Learn how to connect to a public API using Hyper, and Hyper is a really cool wrapper around the CFHTP, nice little fluent DSL that Eric put together a little while back. So Michael Bourne's doing this one, and I believe he's going to show right into an API, storing secrets, doing unit tests, and then publishing the fully finished library to ForgeBox, kind of the whole way through. And that's something that people, I see people on Twitter, pretty often saying, hey, has anybody, used the XYZ API? I think I'm going to build something for it. So this should be useful to people like that. And the publishing, building a fully tested thing and getting it put them up on ForgeBox is a step a lot of people don't always go as far as to get something published, but it really can be easy if you're familiar with how the ForgeBox publishing works.
Yep.
Not nearly as scary as a lot of people think it is, I think.
No, pretty
once you've done it once, you're like, oh, well, that's not that bad.
Yep, exactly. Everything's a little easier once you understand it, but yeah, it's not that bad. So please publish your stuff to ForgeBox. Cool. So next up, we have Adobe Developer Week videos, and they have been released since the last time I teased about them being released. So Adobe was Johnny on the spot for once. And on their page, I think there's 20-something videos here and the keynote as well. So we've got, 20 plus the keynote. So lots of good content in here. And then we have the API webinar series, CF Summit from 2020 as well. They've got quite a lot of videos here on their community portals videos page. So a lot of good stuff there. I know that some of these I missed because I was on my vacation. I want to go through and definitely check out a lot of them. So, some
interesting that you're on that page and not signed in. I just opened the URL on my machine and it put me to a login page, but then some sort of single sign-on automatically kicked in after a second. The login page disappeared and the videos came up. But it didn't do that to you.
I must be special.
Maybe I had cookies in my browser that showed that I had a login, so it automatically pulled me in. Because I was just about to check and see if you could access it publicly or if it required an Adobe login to get to.
Yep. And Charlie had a blog post last week about having issues getting to stuff, and with some of Adobe's websites like the tracker and stuff. And so he says removing your cookies seems to help. So maybe that might help you too.
If I do an incognito tab, then it just shows it to me publicly. So there must be cookies they set that says, hey, this guy's logged in before. And I have noticed that Adobe seems to have incorporated some other single sign-on options. It used to just be username and password, and now it's log in with Google, log in with whatever. So that probably explains some of the funkiness with the login stuff.
Yeah, and Charlie's saying that it happens on the blog too. People are complaining about that. So interesting, but yeah. So they must be looking at cookie stuff. So in case you missed it last week, we had ColdBox 6.5.0 released. So there's some pretty good updates in there, including the standalone companion libraries like CacheBox, Logbox, and Wirebox were updated to match as well.
We used to have a different version number, where Wirebox was on version 1.2 and ColdBox was on version 3.x or whatever. The source code for all those libraries lives in the same repository, and our build script just builds Wirebox and builds TestBox and builds ColdBox. So a while ago, we just synchronized the version numbers just to keep it simple. So when you see a release for ColdBox 6.5, if you use CacheBox standalone or Wirebox standalone or Logbox standalone, it's going to be CacheBox 6.5, Wirebox 6.5, Logbox 6.5. It's the same version. So a little random tidbit there for you guys of the standalone libraries.
Yep.
Anytime you see a ColdBox release, it means you get a release 2. It's going to be the same version number.
Yeah. I remember before that it wasn't fun. So too many versions.
It was just unnecessarily confusing.
Yeah.
Basically is what it was.
So we got rid of it. So hope everyone likes that. And then we also have a reminder for a State of the Union survey. So please go ahead and take that as well. Last time I looked, there was over 300 results. So we're trying to get up to 500. So check that out. And yeah, please fill that out if you haven't done so already.
Thanks, Charlie, for doing some advertising last week. I saw you on Twitter pushing the survey.
Yep, he wrote a blog post about it on the portal too, to maybe reach different people than the normal crowd. So that's good to see as well.
Yep, looks like it's up to 331 respondents. So another 15 or so have come in since last week. So
Cool.
keep pushing it. There's people out there that probably just haven't gotten around to doing it or don't know about it yet.
Yep, for sure. So, okay, so next up we have, I'm just trying to copy a couple links here because I'm being really slack about that today. Sorry for those in the chat. Next up we have our CFCasts update. So CFCasts, recently we just released up and running with Quick. So 2 of the videos from the workshop. So we have installation and setup and the getting started guide. And then we have more coming up this week and soon. We'll have hopefully some more of the up and running with Quick workshop, as well as we've been doing some using DocBox, and there's more Logbox 101 coming, and ContentBox 5 videos, QB8, and ColdBox 6. So lots of good content coming. Definitely check back
so
at
many
that.
things happening all at the same time.
Yep, exactly. I know they've got a schedule, and we're getting stuff prompting it, to push it out there. So all that content is, basically recommended by you guys, and so a lot of great content is being built, and we're trying to release it so you guys can keep busy. So
I'm glad there's people in Ortus now dedicated to worrying about just stuff like all the things coming into CFCast, because back when Ortus was a lot smaller and it was just a few of us doing everything, it would have been impossible to keep up with all this.
yeah.
But we have like dedicated people that just do stuff like this now.
Yeah.
I am thankful.
Yep, we definitely have the benefit of having a bigger team, and these projects come to life because of people who are passionate about certain things, jump forward and really take over. But we can't do everything, so yeah, it's good to have them helping with that. So yep, so cfcast.com. Remember, a lot of content is available there for free, so you can sign up for free, or you can get a paid subscription to get all the rest of the goodies too. Okay, now we have conferences and training, and the big one coming up here is Into the Box 2021. So how many hours did we spend talking last week about all the submissions, Brad? It was a couple hours, right?
Oh, the internal meeting we had? Yeah, we went through and reviewed all the community submissions. We had quite a few, honestly, more than we'd even expected. We weren't sure what to anticipate this year, but we had a lot of talks submitted from the community. And I don't even know how many hours we were on the call. It was 2 or more hours, but it's kind of exciting to see the schedule coming together. I think we're making the final selections on that soon to be able to kind of lock in the schedule. Unfortunately, we had some sort of question marks next to people who, live in Europe and submitted some topics, but don't actually know yet if they'll be allowed to travel. If they can, they'll be here. If not, well, that is what it is. So
yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to nail that stuff down sooner than later, and maybe keep some of those talks in the wings as backups. So.
Yep. So yeah, we should be emailing out speakers, just confirming that yes, they are actually able to come after they've submitted it. So we should be releasing the schedule pretty soon here. So we have met. So we're just reviewing the last few speaker submissions from last week. The speaker call for speakers has closed. So sorry if you missed out there, but we will have that information very soon. Yep. And since
we do have registrations coming in already. People are registering for Into the Box. They're getting plane tickets and they're flying out. So go ahead and take advantage of their early bird prices that we have.
Yep, the super early bird closed when our call for speakers closed last week. So we're down to the early bird, not the super early bird now. But try and get that ticket, save some money before we go to normal pricing here. And I don't have a deadline on the normal pricing, but I'm assuming a week or two. So That's usually the way it works. So you can find out more about the conference on intothebox.org, and there's a link to register, or you can go to itb2021.eventbrite.com to be able to get tickets there. So we'll be posting that link in this chat.
What's our theme this year? Last year we did a Back to the Future theme.
This year it's Galaxy, so I think we're playing on the whole space thing.
Galaxy. We do like the space thing. If you haven't noticed, we've kind of gone with a space astronaut theme with a lot of our stuff. And by we, I mean the people who actually are good at design, which is not me. We have a cool little logo that makes me think my glasses are like out of focus. It's like Ortus all blurry. Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
On the thing there.
Yep. So we have that.
We should probably pull the call for speakers link off our site.
Yes, we should do that. So, yep. So that is coming together nicely. We're getting excited. Got my ticket, so I'll be flying out there as well. So I'm excited to make that happen. And then if you guys get a little extra time, the Space Center in Houston is pretty fun. I think the museum or whatnot there. And I've been to Houston how many times? I still haven't been there, so I'm gonna have to do that this time. So, okay, just for those who don't know, it is September 23rd and 24th, and there are no workshops. It's just 2 days in person, 2 tracks, about 28 sessions, including lots of great content from the community members and Ortus members alike. Okay, and then Into the Box Latam 2021, we're hoping to have that live in person December 2nd or 3rd. We're just trying to confirm everything, and we'll let you know as soon as we have that. Probably as we get closer to Into the Box, we'll let that information come out. And yeah, we have a lot of great stuff coming your way. And then we haven't heard anything about Adobe's conference yet. Hopefully they're still doing a CF Summit, maybe an online one due to travel restrictions, etc. for Adobe. So we will see what they say soon. So hopefully we'll have some information about that in the next week or two. So reminder.
It's obviously a bit harder from them. We get 99% of our attendees from the continental U.S. and most of their entire team flies over from another continent, so that's a little bit trickier for them.
Yep, for sure.
And they're a much larger conference. They're talking about 500 people, not 100 people. So.
Yep. Okay, so next up, blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. So our first one is from Charlie, and that is basically talking about the pre-release that isn't a pre-release anymore. So that blog post again, he does link out to his blog for some more information from the portal sometimes, so keep an eye on that. But usually that content, as you mentioned in the chat, it's not a duplicate. He doesn't just duplicate content, so it usually tries to call something specific to attention. But a lot of good information here, and you can scroll down and read all that yourself. And as Brad said, the comments usually are pretty good on most of these blog posts. Nothing yet on this one. Okay. The next one we have is basically the videos from Adobe CF Developer Week. So Charlie spotlighted that they were all available. So thanks for letting that be known as well. And then another one is from Ben Edel. And this one is actually about his presentation. And we're actually kind of cool to see this because Ben Edel has always said he is not a conference speaker. Right, Brad?
He has. We've always been like, Ben, you should present at conferences. And Ben goes, no, I can't present at conferences. But even though it was online, he has now presented.
Yep. So he spoke about feature flags change everything about product development. So that is shared from the Adobe Cold Fusion Developer Week. And so find out a little bit more about it here. You can get his slides and everything. So kind of cool.
I'm scrolling through the slides now. I like the one that says, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. And then he says, when the poo hits the fan, you can just turn off the feature flag.
Yep. And
which is probably a lot easier than rolling an entire release back, which, may have had a number of changes in it.
Yep. I actually just watched the show that they mentioned that phrase. I haven't actually heard that one in a while. But yeah, so if you guys hadn't seen Ben's presentation, I recommend it. I think it's really cool to see how feature flags work, and yeah, I think that's a good feature to have. And like you said, it's kind of a big deal when it comes to like deployment times and pipelines, and we're not cowboy coding on the server anymore, right, Brad?
No cowboy
Usually.
coding.
So
I mean, the funny thing is people typically, cowboy code, as we say, just throwing code right up in the production server because they need quick turnaround times and the ability to, to iterate on things and get it out and see if it works without having a really long, release cycle. And what's kind of cool about feature flags that, Ben talks about is it sort of gives you some of that, the ability to just, throw something out. He mentions that he releases, 5 times a day or more. But it gives you a bit of control over that. It's not just code you throw out that everybody now blows up and you have to go like pull it back. It's the ability to kind of, target behaviors you can push out that, are behind a feature flag and may not be enabled or could be, enabled and disabled very quickly and easily. So you kind of get back some of that benefit of being able to iterate quickly over things, but with a bit more structure around it, not just throwing code in production.
yeah, I really like them. Yep, very cool. And then next up, we have another one from Charlie. This is a Charlie Earhart show today. Ben Adele is enjoying his summer vacation or summer life, I guess. Sorry, no offense, Ben. I know you're busy, but it's just usually we get 50 Ben articles and like one from everybody else. But so Charlie, as I mentioned before, wrote this blog post earlier in June and then updated it recently for that. But this is about the Docker Hub. So very interesting. And yeah, a lot of good content. Charlie's always got great stuff, so I would always recommend checking out his site, especially for all these recent releases. Okay, so short and sweet this week for blogs, but don't worry, we've got a lot of good content still left. Next up, though, we have Find a Job. So, Brad, we have 2 jobs from getcfmljobs.com, and we have 2 from Ortus.
I see that. We've got Cold Fusion application developer in Hyderabad, Telangana, India. It's kind of a cool name. Let's see what it says. Anything interesting? Application developer, design, build, configure applications. Work experience, 4 to 6 years. Management level 10. I don't know what that means. You're at 10 out of 10.
Always.
Angular, Cold Fusion, Java, Ruby on Rails. There you go. Well, that's in India. We also have one in Overland Park, which is in my city, a little suburb next to me. I have a feeling I know what company this is. It's Ulig.
Ulig?
Ulig LLC. There's a lot of Cold Fusion people I've known that worked at Ulig. They're a pretty cool place. And they have a pretty, they don't make a lot of noise, but they have a pretty big team. At least they used to. They've been hiring on and off for quite a while. I occasionally get the local recruiter bugging me on LinkedIn about the Ulig guys. So that's in the Kansas City area, and I assume this is probably in person. It doesn't say remote, so yeah.
Yeah, we also have the 2 jobs on Ortus Solutions, so we're still looking for a senior Cold Fusion CFML developer on the USA team. And then we have a web developer in our El Salvador team.
Say the word. Desarrollador? I have no clue. It's a Spanish word. I assume it's developer in Spanish. Let's see.
Yeah, I would guess. Where's Esme when you need her?
Yeah, I know. Where's someone who can help us pronounce this? There you go. I just pronounced it over my computer speakers and Google Translate. You can do the same thing. And yes, it does mean developer in Spanish.
See, not as dumb as we look sometimes. So a couple of jobs there.
It's worse than it looks.
Yeah, no, I mean us. Okay, so next up we have our ForgeBox module of the week. And this week we're going to be talking about a new release and update, Hyper 3.1. So it's perfect timing considering tomorrow we're doing the webinar using Hyper. So let's learn a bit more about Hyper.
Convenient.
I know, it's like we planned it almost.
So when did Hyper 3.1 come out? Is that a recent release?
July 16th. So just a couple of days ago, I think Friday.
Just a couple days ago.
Yep. So Erica re-released that, but it's a CFML HTTP builder. These words are failing me again. But yeah, I just like the fact that you can, say hyper.set method, put with headers, put your header, set URL, set the body, and send. You get back much more user-friendly things, and so it's very similar to Axios and some other, JavaScript tools like that. And it just makes life a lot easier. The cool thing is that you can actually set, basically set up your hyper builder to always use the authorization headers, and that way you don't have to add it every single time you use it. If you set up the builder to already have that, then everywhere you use that builder, it's automatically using the right authorization header. And there's just little things like that.
Template. It's like creating a template for your HTTP request that has all that stuff you got to add every time, and you can just reuse that template, which really helps save boilerplate.
Yep, and it's got.
And since it's a nice fluent DSL, it's really nice looking chainable methods that are human readable.
Yep, and it uses like gets and posts and puts and patches and deletes and everything like that. So it's very user friendly. It's got some nice power to it. It's just it works really nicely. So it's a great module. Again, you can install it and use it, and when you get the response back too, you can get body formats you can have as JSON. I think you mentioned that last week, or as form fields, or all the different things. You can pull the headers out of it, so it's much easier than trying to work with a file content and try to figure all those things out yourself.
Right.
So,
yeah, it has all the information CFHTTP gives you, but it just makes it a lot easier to access stuff you would commonly access, like give me back JSON deserialized, results.
Yep. So to install that, just box install hyper, HYPER. But it's definitely a cool one. I know we've talked about it a couple times over the years, but this new release is pretty good. So
I think the tagline should be something like, hyper for the ADHD developer and all of us.
Yeah, but everyone's like, I don't do ADHD. I just do soap.
So what's our VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week?
So our hint, tip, and trick of the week this week is actually just a little shortcut, and it's called the soft undo. So I don't know if you've done this before, but I do it all the time. Is when I'm working and I'm like wanting to jump back to where I just was because I just named a variable somewhere and I'm calling a function and then I need to go back. And what I'll do is I'll use Control Z and I'll undo the code I just typed in the other location, and then I'll retype it just so I'm back to where I was. But instead of doing that,
I do undo redo. So I'll be like Control Z, Control Shift Z, just to get the cursor back. I do it all the time, totally.
So apparently VS Code said we could make this easier. So if you hold Control, if you're on Windows, and click U, it'll just undo the cursor and it'll go back to your previous location without messing with your.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to start doing that today. I was literally doing that this morning before we got on the podcast while working on the Couchbase, because I've been working in VS Code. And that's genius. Just jump back to where I was. You're in the middle of a file and you're like, start with that, or you have to look at the line number and be like, okay, I got to jump down and do something. Where am I at? Line 548.
Exactly.
This does not require an extension, right? It's just a built-in VS Code feature.
Just built in. There's a little video too you can watch on YouTube, but yeah, it's already there. So this, like I said, VS Code, it's amazing. All the cool stuff they built into it that you don't even know is there. And so this one is definitely a big winner in my book. So simple as you can be, Control U, or the command, I guess if you're on a Mac. But
what Control U makes me think of after years of using Nano? Uncut.
Uncut, yeah. I was thinking.
In Nano, Control K would delete a line and cut it, and then Control U would uncut it and paste it back in.
Yep.
That's what it reminds me of.
That, and whenever I'm in VS Code and I try to bold something, doing markdown or something, I Control B and my whole my window disappears, my side panel.
Didn't Dreamweaver have a shortcut for a while that like Control B would wrap something in like strong tags or something?
Yeah, most of them do. Most of the old, I think a lot of them do.
It's
but
primarily just for like HTML, development.
Yep. Or if you're in a markdown mode, it can do that too. So I know that happens with some stuff, but not VS Code. So the undo does not underline.
I'm sure there's an extension somewhere in VS Code that'll do that though.
Yeah, you'd have to just change your bookmark. Your shortcuts. So,
Yep.
but anyway, short and sweet, but another good one there. Now, last but
That
not
brings us
least,
to our Patreon supporters.
yep. So our Patreon supporters are making this podcast possible by paying for all of it, and then we're 41% of the way to paying for all of the ForgeBox hosting. Obviously, ForgeBox is our package management, I guess, repository and system, and yeah, the cloud infrastructure alone and all the downloads that we get, and there are plenty. That costs money, and so the Patreon funds are going to support that. So if you go to patreon.com/Ortus Solutions, you can see the different goals, and we actually added a couple more, so you can see the next one as well. But we've also...
And if you're thinking about jumping on, we take a look at the bronze packages and up, because those come with extra goodies. ForgeBox Pro and CFCasts subscriptions all bundled together. And we have the yearly, just like as of last week, you can do a yearly payment now. So if you want to talk to your boss and say, we get tons of use out of these box products or the information on the podcast, they can do a one-time push to Patreon. There's just a single payment, goes for the year. And that's a brand new feature we just added in. And I think you save like 10% when you do like an annual membership with it.
Yep, and that's great. A lot of times at the end of the year, if the people have budget left, they want to help, but they just don't like those monthly subscriptions. So, if they've got some funds at the end of the year or whenever, they can just offer an annual membership, sign up, save 10%, and then if you got a bronze package and up, you get ForgeBox Pro and CFCast subscriptions as a perk. All Patreon supporters get their little badge on the Ortus community website, and they have their own private forum. And then some of the higher packages actually get Into the Box tickets as well. So, if your business is wanting to support us and they're going to buy tickets into the box, it might be worth looking at one of those packages, and you can get get some other perks along the way. So you get tickets, ForgeBox Pro account, CFCast account, all those different things. So definitely a good one. Okay, is it my turn, Brad?
I think I did it last time.
Okay, so thank you individually. John Wilson from Synatrix, Don Bellamy, Eric Hoffman, David Bellinger, Dean Maunder, Gary Knight, Giancarlo Gomez, Jonathan Perrett, Mario Rodriguez, Jeffrey McGee from Sunstar Media, Yogesh Messer, Joseph Lamory, Ben Nadell, Barrett DeLine, Calvin Stanton, Charlie Earhart, Dan Carr, Daniel Garcia, Dia Lesnicki, Edgardo Cabezas, Jan Yannick, Jason Diger, Jeff McLean, Jeremy Adams, Jonas Erickson, Jordan Clark, Kai Koenig, Laxma Tirahadi, Leon Saramelis, Matthew Darby, Matthew Clemente, Mingo Hagen, Patrick Flynn, Ross Phillips, Scott Steinbeck, Sean Oden, Stephanie Mungus, and then Stephen Klotz. So thank you each and all for being awesome Patreon supporters for Ortus Solutions. So another week gone, and pretty short and sweet for us. The summertime is definitely putting a little dampener on our news, but we'll still bring you everything we can find, track down. And if you have something that you think we might miss, please tag us on Twitter or send us an email, and we'll try and get that on the news every week.
Yep. So. And if you guys ever have any suggestions for webinars or for CFCast content, if you're a subscriber, you can also send those as well. We're always looking for our next content.
Yep, and same thing goes with ForgeBox Module of the Week and VS Code hints, tips, and tricks. If there's something that you don't think we've covered and that you think is pretty awesome, let us know. We can share it with the rest of them, and you'll even get credit if you want to. So.
Yeah, every once in a while a module just sneaks on the ForgeBox, and I don't even see it.
Yeah, I'm always browsing the latest just in case.
yeah, I like to pull up ForgeBox and just click newest and just see what's on there. Like right now we got Precise CMS extension chart.js. Royal Mail UK click and drop CFML. Look at these. There's already these are all just from this week.
Yep. There's always something.
CFC. Dang. See, just go look at CB Wire, and that's actually what I knew about. Just go look at ForgeBox, and you'd be surprised how many new things sneak in there. The Preside guys are crazy. They're putting up like Preside extensions on a regular basis, and I think that's awesome that they've just embraced ForgeBox.
Yep.
Anyway.
For sure. Okay. Well, thanks, Brad, for joining us, and thanks everybody in the live chat. And yeah, we'll see you guys all next week. Don't forget to check out the Into the Box tickets, and keep an eye out for those speakers. Have a good one. Bye. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.